Hey, what's up, guys? Listen, we got a big one today, answering your comments and biggest, most important questions around the Daniel Klein video, the lead designer of Apex, getting fired. You guys hit the comment section up. I picked my 3 most contentious, most interesting, most echoed comments, and I'm going to respond to them here. Make sure you watch that video as well. Also, we've got something that Apex Legends sent me. I don't think you've seen unboxed before on YouTube, so we've got that to check out next. And then, of course, we've got every big streamer in the world, Timthetatman, Nickmerks, CourageJD, DrDisrespect, all playing Apex this week as their main game. What does it mean for the future? Let's find out. All right, first order of business, what did Apex Legends send me? That's a big question, and to answer it, I wanted to let you guys know that this is something I didn't think about for a while. In fact, it has to do with something that I think I purchased, that they didn't actually send me. I'm pretty sure that I purchased a while ago when they announced it, which is Apex Legends has these cool little toys, and they're Jax toys, and essentially it just is a cool little thing that you could have as a streamer, as a creator. I've started to value what my room looks like behind me a little bit more. You know, all these little things, they do add to a vibe. The little Nessie back there, the Apex sign, the little Nintendo gummy, right? So I was like, this looks cool, and look, it has come today. Revenant, the Jax toy, can I get the autofocus, please? There it is, the Jax toy Revenant. He's staring the other way. He's that upset at everybody. He doesn't even want to look at y'all. And it comes with these guns. So let's unbox it right here. Ooh, look at this. Oh, dope. So you get a little image of like Revenant, what he looked like beforehand. This is actually from the cinematic Apex Legends put together of Revenant. Probably one of the best cinematics ever, season 4, I believe. And then, or season 5, I forget what it was. So many seasons now. And then this is what it looks like. Let's open it up here. All right, so this is what he looks like. Fully done. You know, Revenant. I'm gonna give him the spotlight here. My boy is ready to roll. You know what I mean? He's ready to roll. Revenant. You know, you get yeah. Where's that Loba? I'm trying to see where's that damn. Anyways, you know what? Listen, it's cool. It's something you could put on the back end of your stream or whatever. I feel like it's dope. Anyway, I want to show y'all that. That's the first part. Let's get into comments around Daniel. So I did this video around Daniel Klein, who was the lead character designer in Apex Legends. He got fired over saying sexist and racist things, allegedly. And when you look at the comments, I haven't shown them here because I don't want to be flagged or be defamatory. It's true. In my opinion, they were. A lot of you had responses to it, though, and a lot of you had really good responses. The video's doing well. I suggest you watch the video and then come back to this point because I'm going to be responding to the 3 things that stuck out that were the most kind of echoed comments, and I think they're very important for us to have it as a discussion because I think they deserve a little bit more, and I think they've raised a lot of good questions you guys were asking. And a lot of you were angry, and I kind of want to address some of the angry comments as well, too. So the first idea that I think most people had a problem with was cancel culture. I think that was the thing that echoed the most, and I think the honesty around it is that this is a very difficult decision and thing to talk about. Cancel culture in itself is a really wide-sweeping term, and I think we have experienced what that's done. It's taken away careers, but it's also helped to raise voices up and showcase that certain actions aren't tolerable. And through that wide sweeping movement, it is simultaneously, like any wide sweeping movement, you know, swept some really good people under the rug and caught a lot of bad fish as well. And I think so there have been people who have been hurt by it, and there are people who haven't. And I think it raises the question for you guys, when is the time that you pay for your past mistakes? Do you ever stop paying your past mistakes? I actually read a book the other day. It's called The 4 Agreements, and it was a great statement that was made in there saying that we never stop paying for our past mistakes. If we look at it that way and you go deeper into what he was saying, he's like, well, listen, you make a mistake when you're 5, but your brothers and sisters don't let you forget about it. That brings up the emotional pain, the guilt that happens over the course of your life. You just have an argument with your wife, your girlfriend, or your significant other, whatever it looks like, and they may bring it up 8 years later to recreate the experience of pain and guilt and sadness, maybe depression. So in many ways in life, we do pay for a very long time for stuff that we do. And that's part of a journey that I always look at taking inwardly to say, when am I going to forgive and let go? And how am I going to process that? Because everyone who has done stuff like that, they have to pay their own costs themselves internally. And we don't get to see that. But in terms of how the world works, I think it's important to address Daniel's situation from that perspective. Does someone who said something 14 years ago deserve to be fired today? I didn't meditate on this. I just really thought about it. And I'm curious what your ideas are. I know a lot of people blanket swept cancel culture under the rug, but for me, there is this sense of there is an ability to pay for something, a past action, with a reaction. And it always happens. I believe that things always come back around. But what happens if Daniel goes to his next job? It doesn't matter. But then people create a public stink, and you get to have the point where they're like, hey, man, we've got to fire you, unfortunately, because, you know, the community is really upset and when we don't want to piss them off again. It is very possible that saying those things has resulted in that happening again. And I don't know if there is a clear answer. Realistically, the way I would say it is this. If you put anything on a public forum that allows you to be taken negatively in a racist, sexist way, things that aren't really tolerable in this world, to have a company or someone bigger than you uplift you or represent you. You know, if you want to work with McDonald's or Bumble or big companies, Best Buy, if you want to have a public-facing career, be an actor, an actress, a director, if you want to work in video games and be a figurehead at the studio, a public figurehead that speaks to the community and represents the design that they're doing on this game, that's a billion-dollar game, you have to know that anything negative like that could potentially haunt your entire career. And it might actually mean that you just never get to fully have your career if people keep bringing it up in this culture. Now, is that fair? I don't know if it's fair. You know, my family filed bankruptcy when I was younger, and my dad has had to pay that off for 10 years. Their finances were back together in 2-3 years. But it's been so difficult to get loans, to get housing, credit, and to do all these things because bankruptcy's still on there. And it's like basically there's a strike, a big old strike. Like, well, no, that's don't mess with that person. And so how long? Is 10 years the right amount of time? I don't know, but I've definitely seen that in my life, and I've known people personally that have had to pay that cost. So is there a right time? No. The problem is that if you let yourself dip into those actions that could have those consequences, you've now opened up a door for yourself that you don't have control over. If you say those things, sure, you may feel it's uncalled for. You may feel, when is my time to stop paying? You may have given up more control than you want. So the best way to move around it, and the best advice I would give, especially anyone who's at 30 years old, which is when we were discovered, 27 to 30 is when Daniel said those things, is to truly make sure that you're taking statements and taking actions that aren't going to pigeonhole you. Like, worst case scenario, if a company says, we looked up your history and X, Y, and Z came up and we just can't have you as a public facing figure, you know, if that's your worst case scenario, maybe don't try to be so public facing. Maybe go into a role at a company that no one even knows you're working there, unless the company were to, you know what I mean? So I think that's kind of where now those choices are, unfortunately. But I just think it's an important thing to, again, hit on the point that I had in the video. It's so important what you do now because they could have consequences. They will have impacts later on in your life, and be good to your future self. Secondly, I had someone in the comments section actually ask me, what do I do about being a good person? You mentioned I'm supposed to be good to people, and I've worked on that, but only things I've gotten from being good to people are negative or neutral results. To me, this is a tough one because I can't discourage you from being good, because I know that that's going to lead to a better situation for you than being negative. I know it. You're going to feel better inside. You're going to feel better in the world. But how do you get something back from other people? You don't. And that's the tricky part about it, because most people look at, well, what am I immediately getting back? If I'm selfish, I get something back right away, something I want. But maybe I screw other people along the way, and who knows how that bites me in the butt later. If you go and say, listen, I'm open to receiving what people will give to me, knowing I'm giving goodwill, that's how you get goodwill in return. A lot of people think in relationships, it's the person who's wanting a relationship really badly that gets one. It's actually not true. See, when people see that you want something so badly and you're putting out the energy, you can't live without it, then people don't want to engage in that. They're like, oh, this person's needy. That's what they call needy. And it's okay, but you have to understand that that's how it comes across. So if you need someone to give you something back right away to be good, then that's not really the right motivation to do it. What I'm suggesting is focus on being the best version of yourself. Focus on your career. Focus on developing your personal, spiritual, inner and outer experience in your life, and be good to other people. Those things will come back tenfold, whether you know it or not. And they may not, here's a big lesson I had to learn. They may not show up in the way you think they should. That's a really big lesson a lot of people who are younger and who are growing up need to understand. Your success or your great thing that you think is coming to you down the way, you may be focused on being this super big writer, and maybe it doesn't work out. But maybe that not working out leads you to this path of being something even better or greater in a career you never considered. Look at me. I was a soccer player. I was drafted to the MLS. I played college soccer at UCLA, D1 school, ranked #1 in the country, 3 Pac-12 championships. I was a two-time national champion winner, played for my U17, U18 World Cup national team. Listen, I've done it all in soccer in the Americas. My point is, look at me now. So if I had just said that it's got to look like a soccer career or nothing, I wouldn't have been open to the blessings of what my life has become. And for a lot of young men, a lot of young people, that's an important lesson to let go. And even though you're giving, understand that it's, hey man, it's important, right? Obviously, it's important to go forward and know that there are things that may not show up the way you think they should, but they could be blessings in disguise. Hopefully you keep being nice, man. I suggest you do it. I think it will pay off in the end. Lastly, the third thing that a lot of people were angry about is like EA submitting to these people, like people who were upset at Daniel. We all know there was a 14-year-old or someone who was younger who basically dug this information up on Daniel. And a lot of people came, in the comment sections, and we could throw a few of them up here saying, EA is the one who's wrong. I don't even want to work for a company that doesn't want me or will listen to this culture like that. That's okay. But my response to someone like that is that if your outcome is to not work for a bunch of companies, then those actions are fine, okay? Like, you don't care what you do. You could have said racist things in the past. If companies fire you for them, who cares? You said them publicly. That's okay to have that attitude. But I would ask, what are you getting from that? Because in the real world, what happens is these companies are not beholden to an individual. The group is more important than the individual. Apex Legends having a bad rep is worth so much more to them than letting go of Daniel, unfortunately. And for me, you could see that in the pudding. I'm sure they wanted to keep Daniel. I'm sure they didn't really think he was that guy. I'm sure most people don't think he's that guy. But I do think that they knew that this was just not something that, as a diverse company, as someone a company that champions diversity and has they/them characters represented, non-binary characters, lesbian, bi, all these representations, black, white, so many different versions of characters and creeds and religions, and just beauty of diversity really represented in this game. You can't have someone in a lead character position, public facing, that says stuff like that. It's just impossible. It would be hypocritical of them. And to have those come up, unfortunately, forced their hand, because now we're either not really doing right by our players and our company's vision and the employees who represent all that diversity we love, or we are. Like, we can't just let it stand. We can't be bystanders. I think that's just the biggest thing about it. So if you believe that the individual is so much more important, you're going to get those results that unfortunately mean that you can be cast outside of the group at times. You may want it. I'm not saying you do. I'm not really attached. I don't have a dog in your fight. But I'm saying EA, all this hate around what EA did, you guys have to understand, it just couldn't happen. You can't have both of those things exist. An apology wasn't accepted by the community, so therefore they really only had one choice. And that's not me looking at it from a company's perspective. That's me looking at it just realistically. The value Daniel brings is much more easily replaced than Apex Legends having a tarnished value for the way their game is designed when it's a $1 billion franchise, and it's a hugely important time for them in Season 10. So unfortunately, that kind of just sums it up right there. Let me know what you guys think about that. I addressed the 3 most important things. If you have anything else to say, go ahead in the comment section below. Lastly, the most important thing for a lot of people, Nickmerks, Courage, DrDisrespect, who else? Cloaksy, I mean, so many different people. I would go on Twitch right now, I can see all these different people streaming it. Ninja, Tifu's streaming Apex Legends. Every big streamer who has not played Apex Legends for the majority of the last 9 seasons is now playing Apex again. And it's a wild time on Twitch. Currently, Apex is sitting at the 8th most played game on Twitch right now, which I think is cool. It's obviously nice to see. 154,000 viewers at the time I'm checking it. Maybe not at the time this video is made. So And it's been number 1, number 2, number 3 over the course of this entire week. Timthetatman peaked over 130,000 viewers, opening 500 packs of Apex Legends, and has essentially, I think, really created a revolution of people wanting to try this game. Now, I've got 2 main points about this. One, how do I feel? I feel great. I think this is really great for the game. I think this is ultimately bringing a lot of new eyes. I think if anything, this makes the rep of Apex Legends look better. I think people are saying, yeah, okay, what is this game? Because now when you think about how many of those streamers represent like Warzone audiences or players who would play Warzone, come home, and when they're at work or at home, watch a Warzone streamer, those streamers mostly have all now started playing Apex. So I've seen even in the chats like, yo, okay, I've been kind of forced to watch Apex last week. What's up with Apex? Is it really that good? I think this is a great thing for the game. It's been very funny watching these players and these pros, and I actually had a tweet saying, one thing all these pros need to know, these big streamers need to know, you're going to die a lot playing Apex. People think you could just switch over and have no respect for this game or put the time in. You're wrong. They're getting their butt whooped. They're getting their butt whooped. They're talking through it. And I respect the grind, Tim, Jack, Doc, Nick, these people, if they ever see these videos, I respect your grind because it is not easy to be that popular, have that many people expect you to dominate, and then be humbled for 5 days in a row. I respect it. I hope you guys do too. And in fact, it's really fun. And the big note that they've said that steps Apex above Warzone is really the ranked mode. Having something to grind for is huge for them. The second thing I want to say is this going to last? And my big answer, to be realistic, because you guys know I like to kind of keep it real here, is probably not. It doesn't last for any game at that highest of a level because what these guys have to do to maintain their sub count and to maintain, their relevancy in the pop culture scene of gaming is like any pop culture figure. You got to star in some action movies. You got to go and be working with the next biggest director. You've got to make sure that you're on the most competitive platform or game so that you could be successful. And when there's another hot game or another hot update and something else, yeah, they may leave. They may go back to that. But the value that they've brought to the game so far, I think, will have been worth it. And hopefully they'll have a lot more respect of Apex so that they can switch back and forth. It can become part of their rotation. I truly believe that this is overall a good thing. But those saying that this is here to stay, I wouldn't be so naive to say that they're not going to go back and play different games, or when a new game comes out, they're not going to spend time on that. We all know that they bounce around games. So enjoy it while you can. The one thing I will say is that be prepared for people to quit in a way that saves face. Ego is important at these high levels. It's part of what makes them very good streamers and very fun people to watch at times. So no one wants to say, Apex is just really too hard for me to enjoy and play casually every day. So there may be some things around cheaters or blah, blah, blah that, yes, everyone can use to blame. But at the end of the day, I think they're understanding that Apex truly is a wonderful game, as we have all understood since day one on this channel. Hey, maybe one day we'll play with them on stream. Who knows? I have a few videos planned, so you guys let me know. So the question is this. What do you think about my responses to the Daniel Klein situation? You like the Revenant unboxing? And also, what do you feel about these big streamers coming to Apex Legends? That's the biggest thing that I wanted to hear your thoughts on. Do you think it'll last? Do you think it's helped the game? Are you frustrated at it that they seem like they're kind of clout chasing in some ways? You let me know in the comment section below. I've got some new stuff planned I'm excited to do, so make sure to leave a like and subscribe to stay tuned for it. Never give up, never stop gaming. I'll see you guys in the comments.